What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. Before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic and that the player ratings and potential of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips, this is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game and just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who just want a few recommendations on what players you could sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. So yes, in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, well, let's just say I was really excited for this one. We're going to take a look at the French giants, Paris Saint-Germain, coming off a bizarre season where they didn't dominate Ligue 1 and instead lost their crown. Yes, Lille were crowned Ligue 1 champions last year, with PSG finishing not as champions in the top tier of French football. Absolutely bizarre. No one saw it coming pre-season, but fair play to Lille for doing that. However, in the game, as we know, one of the richest clubs in world football, one of the richest clubs in the game, one of the best teams in the world, as we know, adding Lionel Messi to their incredible front three of Mbappe and also Neymar as well. Well, they might not have won Ligue 1 last season, but let's just say I think most people would still consider them the best team in France. And this season's start, I think there's no doubt about it, they are back to their best domestically. So heading into the season, as we know, under the management of Mauricio Pochettino, obviously a lot of talk after the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacking that the Argentine is going to take over at Old Trafford. Very interesting indeed to see. I think personally he'll stay till the end of the season at PSG. I actually don't know what Manchester United are going to do. I don't want to get too far away from today's episode talking about the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacking and what's going to happen there at Old Trafford, but I don't know what Manchester United are going to do between now and the end of the season. They missed out on Conte, who they could have had they pulled the trigger on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer earlier. I'm not sure. I think they might possibly just looking for an interim manager between now and the end of the season and possibly get Poch next season or someone else. I don't know. It's an interesting one, but for now, Pochettino remains in charge of Paris Saint-Germain. Whether he will be at the end of the season or whether he's at Old Trafford, I guess we'll have to wait and see. But PSG's team, as we know, 5-star, it's incredible. Like, I don't need to talk about it much. You know how good it is. You know how deadly the front three is. One of the best in Europe. Now, they've got several players their deals come at the end of the year, and personally, I'll give contracts to all apart from two. Now, I'll give Xavi Simons a new deal. He's a great young Dutch talent. Garby as well. Also Fadiga, very good young talent midfielder. Three really good young talents there. But of course, the other player I'll give a contract to, well, as we know, he's told PSG he's leaving come the end of the season regardless. Doesn't matter how much money he gets given, he's not staying at the Parc Des Princes. However, in the game, he's a little bit more willing to cooperate. Yeah, Kylian Mbappe, the French forward. Absolute elite young talent from France. We know in the game it's not going to be as hard to negotiate a new contract. Look, if you want to sell him, feel free to cash in, but at the end of the day, this guy's one of the best players in the game and he's still so young as well. The most important signing for PSG is signing Kylian Mbappe to a contract extension. My personal recommendation, don't sell him. Keep this guy tied up. He's more willing to negotiate in the game than he is in real life. I'd keep him here. But for new signings with PSG, now you saw several players on the transfer list and some big names as well, including Ander Herrera, who was on there, and Angel Di Maria, whose contract coming the end of the season despite being 87 overall. I'd look to replace the aging Argentine. But my number one target for PSG is a new left back. Now, Juan Bernat, I think, is really underrated. I think he's a great left back, don't get me wrong, but you can get better and you can get younger. Nuno Mendes has one of the highest potentials for a fullback in the game as well, but at the moment he's not ready to step into the first 11 with his overall at 78. You can get better and you can get younger than Juan Bernat. My number one, and I'm not going to say primary, I'm going to say sole target for Paris Saint-Germain is this guy. He's my favourite left back in the game. It is Theo Hernandez, 84 overall with 90 potential. With him being French as well, it's a really nice feel to bring him to the Parc des Princes. He is amazing. If you get the work rates to high, going forward, this guy is just so creative and so threatening, but the guy can defend as well. I'd sign him from Milan. It'll cost you a fortune, don't get me wrong. We also gave Milan Levin Kurzawa as part of the deal too, but believe me, he's worth every single penny. Don't think about anyone else. Don't think about Ben Chilwell. Don't think about Alejandro Grimaldo. Don't think about anyone else. It is Theo Hernandez. He's the number one target for PSG in the left back role. Having said that, we sold Di Maria to Borussia Dortmund, and again, he's been at PSG for several years. He's barely put a foot wrong. He is such a brilliant player. But in the final year of his contract, in his 30s, 87 overall, makes him one of the best wingers in the game. But it's time to look for younger options for the future. Now, after selling him to Dortmund, you can get Dembele for an absolute steal in this year's FIFA career mode, man. Because he's out of contract at the end of the season, he's only 24 years old. He's got the 5-star. I'd bring him back to France. Do be wary of the injury-prone tag. No doubt about that is a little bit of a concern, but you can get the guy for under the valuation. And at 83 overall, only 24 years old, he's got 88 potential, so it means he'll get better than Di Maria. And in the first season, with Di Maria due to decrease and Dembele due to increase, the most likely outcome is coming the end of one season, they're about the same overall, and Dembele might be a touch better. Personally speaking, it's the right thing to do. Sell Di Maria, now he's in his 30s, and bring in Dembele as the replacement. 5-star, and off the bench. You know, when you've got Mbappe, Neymar, and Messi as your front three, but then Dembele coming on to run at tired legs with a pace and 5-star, it's just a class situation to imagine, isn't it? Still, we sold Julian Draxler to Leicester City. I definitely recommend that. He's in his mid to late 20s, but personally, I call time on the Germans' time at the Parc des Princes. And also Ander Herrera, 31 years old, formerly the Red Devils, of course. We sold him to Napoli as well. He's a very good midfielder. He's a great passer of the ball, very creative, great vision, no doubt about that. But personally, I'd look to sell him and look for younger replacements through the middle. Now, as you know, you've got Wijnaldum as part of your midfield trio. You've got Idrissa Gueye, but both of these guys are now in their 30s, with Wijnaldum coming in on a free transfer at the start of the season. Marco Verratti is no spring chicken either. I'd look for a younger central midfielder as part of the midfield trio. And my number one recommendation, I love this guy to pieces. If you've got the cash to pull this deal off, definitely pull the trigger. It's Wilfred Ndidi. He's 24 years old, so he's not even in the prime of his career right now, but he's 85 overall with medium-high work rates. The guy runs for days, he's so physical, and defensively, this guy is absolute class. Now, if you want, you can retrain him to centre-half and have him as a ball-playing centre-back. As a centre-back, his stats probably represent the best amount of quality where you get the best out of him, but to me, with Idrissa Gueye now being 31 years old, he's due to decrease in the first season. He is a brilliant player. I love Idrissa Gueye. I think he's so criminally underrated. Having said that, you can get better, you can get younger, and Ndidi is 7 years younger and 3 ratings higher, and he's got 88 potential as well. For the long-term successor for Idrissa Gueye, Wilfred Ndidi is literally the perfect man to step in and replace him. So, following that, we sold our 3rd/4th choice goalkeeper to Bournemouth, and after season ticket sales, we had around 35 million still remaining. And the final signing I looked to bring in was this guy, Tanguy Ndombele of Spurs, now of course under the management of Antonio Conte. I offered them Rafinha plus 37.5 mil, and the Italian agreed to it. Now, Ndombele is a really good player through the middle of the park. He's only 24 years old, but 82 overall. And again, when you look at the aging players who are PSG, Wijnaldum's just come in, but he's already in the 30s. He's not going to be at his best for too much longer. You'll want someone to replace him long term, and Ndombele is that guy. Being French, like Theo Hernandez, obviously gives him a really, really nice feel, and Dembele as well, the 2 French players we bought in. Another French player coming to Paris Saint-Germain. Definitely train those work rates up though, no doubt about it. Low work rates, that's not my sort of player, but it's very easy to do that in this year's FIFA CM now. I'll give him the Shadow Striker development plan that'll train up from low to high come the end of the season. And again, as the long-term successor for Wijnaldum, whilst Wijnaldum will probably start, you know you've got the guy to replace him as the years go by. So with PSG, we only sold 4 players. We raised 85.5 mil for the sales of Herrera and Draxler, Letelier, and also Di Maria as well. Aging players, or players that are coming towards the twilight of their careers. But for the 4 players we signed, cost us a fortune, 242.5 mil, which meant we had a net loss of 157 million pounds in the first season. However, you look at the replacements for the players we sold. Theo Hernandez at 90 overall, at 90 potential at left back and 84 overall. And Ndidi has 88 potential to replace Idrissa Gueye. Dembele coming in to replace Di Maria with 88 potential, and Ndombele at 87. You got some class players for now, but particularly for the future to replace those aging players. So as per usual, we'd simulate the end of the season to see if PSG could win the treble, return to dominance in French football, and win the Champions League as well. And as you could see, Well, heading through to the final, what I didn't realise is that the Coupe Nationale is not played on the 1st of June. So I had to simulate an extra few days, but as you could see, we did return to dominance in French football. Yeah, after last season losing the crown to Lille, we put things right in the first season. We finished a whopping 21 points clear of what were the champions of last season to win Ligue 1, only losing 2 times all throughout the course of the season in 38 games. So it's safe to say, after winning the domestic double, you would have seen there as I was doing the final simulation, winning the Coupe Nationale against Lille too. We are back to our original place as the dominant team with Paris Saint-Germain in the very first season. I loved how Mbappe and Messi both chipped in with 22 and 21 goals as the top 2 scorers in Ligue 1. Do you think Messi's, found his feet here at PSG in the first season? Definitely in this save, no doubt about that. But yeah, really dominant season in French football for Paris Saint-Germain. We also won the sort of mini trophy at the start of the season, the Trophy Champ as well. Obviously, the Coupe de la Ligue has been scrapped now to help with fixture congestion, but I feel confident that if that was still part of the game, we would have won that as well. So technically it was a domestic treble if you want. However, the only disappointing thing was the Champions League did not go according to plan. Yeah, the trophy that PSG really won is the Champions League. Domestically, they're the most dominant team in France despite losing the crown last season, but the one they really won is the Champions League. Unfortunately, this season, it was just another season of underperforming. We finished in the last 16 knocked out by Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid. No shame to losing to one of the best teams in Spain, but even so, I never try and sweep anything under the rug. That was quite disappointing. I was thinking with this PSG side, with that incredible front three and the changes we'd made to it, as Theo Hernandez grew 4 ratings in the first season at 24 years old to 88 overall. Guys, seriously, man, he's my favourite left back in this year's FIFA. If you haven't tried him yet, but you've got the money to pick him up, please do so. Please, seriously, he's absolutely unbelievable and I love him to pieces. But yeah, I thought really we'd probably at least get to the semi-finals of the Champions League this year. That was a bit disappointing. With the great talent that PSG have brought in this year, Hakimi, Donnarumma. Who's that Argentine? Who's that Argentine guy? Oh yeah, Lionel Messi as well. I thought we'd go a little bit further in the Champions League, especially with the signings we made as well. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. But again, with PSG, it's a great team to use because you got the fabulous kits, the real stadium, the pressure on for in the very first season, coming on the back of losing your championship in France. The pressure is on to return and restore yourself as the best team in France, but also go further in the Champions League as well. It's just a great team to use. It's a challenge, but there's so much money there. You can replace some of the senior players, put your own stamp on it, try and assemble a French core like we were kind of trying to do in this year's save as well. It's just a really fun team to use in this year's FIFA CM. There are so many 5-star teams this year that don't need to be one-season projects that you can try and build a dynasty with. PSG are just another one. They are such a class team to use, and again, with Kylian Mbappe and now 23 years old, I definitely would extend the contract there, keep the guy here, and yeah, try and build a team around him, if you will, with Messi due to decline in the first season. It's a great team though. I definitely do recommend it. It's a really, really fun side to use because again, whilst it is 5-star, whilst it has a monstrous budget, there's pressure in the first season after losing your throne in France last year to Lille and also trying to go further in the Champions League and capture that elusive CL trophy. Can you do it in first season? Well, if not, try and do it over the course of a few seasons instead. Great team to use. Definitely recommend them in this year's FIFA career mode. But that will end this is who signed for, guys. Big thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, if you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you for the next episode of WTSF. I've got to say, I'm liking the 5-star teams at the moment. Very soon.